If you're already feeling behind this early in the year, like you need to move faster just to catch up with everyone else, I want you to pause for a moment and stay with me. That pressure you're feeling right now, it's not random, and it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. So today we're going to talk about the power of pausing. And I'm not talking about taking time off. I'm not talking about slowing down for the sake of it, but pausing so you can lead your business with more clarity and be more intentional where you spend your time. And by the way, intentional is my word of the year. And why now? Well, because this is one of the few moments where you can pause, make a change, and decide that you don't want to keep operating from this rushed place. If you don't want to feel that way for another year, stay tuned. Welcome to the Mind Your Time podcast. I'm Shannon Baker, your coffee-loving host, business strategist, and systems expert. And I guide consultants towards systems that protect their time and elevate their expertise. So if you're ready to run a business that supports your life and not the other way around, you're in the right place. Each episode shares grounded strategies rooted in my Power in Motion framework to help you lead your client experience with clarity and confidence. So grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and let's dive in. So if you're already feeling the pressure to move faster because you're behind everyone else, I really want you to pause for just a moment. And I know you don't need or want another reminder to slow down, but I want you to really understand that the way you're feeling right now, it's not random. And that's why I decided to start the year off on the podcast talking about the power of pause. Not as rest, not as a luxury, but as an intentional decision. Because the way you move forward in your business right now is either going to reinforce patterns that drain you or will create space for something more sustainable to take shape. And at this moment in time, right now is one of the few times that you can still influence how the rest of the year unfolds before that fast pace of life kicks back in and quietly takes over and it makes the decision for you. Because here's something most people don't realize. When you don't pause, your nervous system stays in a constant state of alert. That's when everything starts to feel urgent and everything feels like it's time sensitive, even when it really isn't. That's also when you start reacting instead of deciding. You're accommodating instead of leading. You're filling space instead of protecting it. And over time, your calendar starts to reflect what everyone else wants and needs from you rather than what actually supports you and your goals. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, scattered, or like you're always on, this isn't a discipline issue. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, but really it's what I like to call a drift. It happens quietly in the spaces that you don't protect. And the flexibility that slowly becomes an expectation and that small compromise that felt reasonable in the moment, it really isn't. Let me illustrate what I mean. It's like when a client sends you a text message or you get a Slack message on a Friday at 6:15 p.m. And even though you are supposed to stop responding to messages at the end of your office hours, which is 5:00 p.m., you say, I'll respond just this one time. Then the next week or the next day, you get another message and it's longer. And then it starts happening consistently and almost daily, and a response is expected. Notice in all of that, I didn't say that you changed your policy because you haven't, but because you didn't stick to that boundary around your schedule, you created a new policy that was dictated by that client because you felt it was, and I say this in air quotes, good customer service. Well, boundaries are an invisible barrier that you need to create and identify a reasonable way for people to interact with you if they want your undivided attention. And they're not just policies, they're patterns that train people how to treat you. And the only people who get upset when you have them and you stick to them are usually the ones who benefit the most from you not having them in the first place. That's why identifying a drift is tricky, because it often looks like you're being productive, like you're handling things, you're solving problems, you're showing up. That's the kind of drift that reshapes your boundaries and you don't even realize it. And that's why small resets matter, but you have to pause to be able to notice it. And here's the thing. When you start responding and you're in survival mode, which is what I call this, and that's what you may have been doing, even your most responsible decisions can be costly. And again, this doesn't always happen right away, but over time, it starts to drain your energy. It can impact your health because you're not taking care of yourself, and it definitely will erode your confidence as a leader. And what I often see with consultants is this internal hope that things are eventually going to settle down. So we say things like, after this busy season, or after this project wraps up, or after things feel like they're more in control. The truth is, waiting is not going to create clarity. Waiting lets old patterns take deeper root, and what you thought was going to be temporary becomes your new normal. January especially has this deceptive calm to it. It feels open, flexible, forgiving. That's why people set resolutions for the year, right? But this is actually a small, very small window of opportunity where you still have room to shape what's coming next before those expectations are set for you. Because otherwise, the same availability is assumed, and then your role as the CEO becomes reactive again. And if you don't intentionally pause right now, your clients are going to choose that pace for you. And they're not going to choose based on what's going on in your life. They're going to continue to choose based on what's best for them. That's why this matters right now, because the momentum that you want to have for the year is now starting to form. And once it sets in, you should be managing it. But I want to be clear about something. Pausing doesn't mean you're stopping. It doesn't mean you're disengaging, and it doesn't mean you're going to fall behind. Pausing is interrupting that reactive behavior long enough to choose differently. And I'm not talking about you need to take some days off or take a vacation or create a vision board or even that someday reset, because someday never happens. I'm talking about small intentional pauses that give you space to establish clarity. Maybe that looks like 15 minutes today to review your calendar and determine whether or not it reflects your availability in real time. That means reflecting your personal and your business obligations in one place. Or it could be setting your online scheduler to automatically put a 15-minute buffer between your calls so that you can get up, stretch, move around, get something to eat, or even just go to the bathroom. Or it could just be creating a routine where you have a quiet check-in before your day begins so that you can get centered before everything and everyone starts pulling at you for its attention. Notice these aren't lifestyle upgrades. They're small resets that allow you time to pause and determine what needs to be done next. Because clarity never comes from moving faster. It comes from removing friction. And friction usually lives in patterns that we haven't paused and taken time to identify. So here's where many skilled and thoughtful consultants like you get stuck. They pause, they reflect because they recognize that something feels off, but then nothing actually changes. That's because awareness without structure behind it doesn't shift how your business runs or how you operate. It just makes you more aware of what you're tolerating. When this happens, you don't need more insight. You need better visibility into where your boundaries are stretched or being ignored. You need to see what's quietly stealing your time, what's causing the drift. And it's vital that you identify the extreme expectations that you have allowed others to create for you that you are now living up to and you don't even realize it. This is why so many business owners find themselves repeating the same cycles year after year, even when they're doing everything right. And this is exactly why I created the Boundary Reset Scorecard. It's not a mindset exercise. It's not a personality quiz. It's a clear, grounded check-in that you can do in under 5 minutes that helps you see what's working, what isn't, and where your capacity is being stretched too far. Most importantly, it helps you clearly name what's not working, because when you can name it, you can actually do something about it. You don't have to just hope it gets better when things slow down, because that's never going to happen. And if you use this tool right now before the year takes off, that gives you options. If you wait until you're overwhelmed, you're reacting. If you wait until you're burned out, you're trying to recover. But right now, you still have room to choose, and you don't need to fix everything that you discover at once. You don't need to burn down your business and start over either. You just need to interrupt the current pattern. And if you're thinking, well, this sounds good, but I don't have time for this, that usually means your time is already being spent in ways that you didn't choose for yourself. And if you're thinking, well, I should be able to handle this on my own, I can do that. I want to gently remind you that you already have figured this out on your own, but you haven't fixed it. And it's been costing you more than it should. Now, if you need it, or if you feel like you just need to push a little longer, that's survival mode, and we're trying to get you out of that. This entire episode has put a spotlight on the fact that pausing is not about doing more. It's about creating enough space for you to lead with clarity instead of urgency. So before we wrap up today, let's recap what we've talked about. Pausing is not about just resting. It's a leadership move that gives you space to think calmly so you can make clear, confident decisions. And if you're in survival mode, please note it doesn't always look chaotic. It just often feels like you're handling everything and then it starts to drain you. And awareness alone is not going to shift how your business operates or how it does or does not support you. Real change happens when you identify those time leaks and choose to reset them with intention and get some structure in place to protect you. So now I hope you truly understand why this moment matters so much. It's not because you're behind, but it's because you still have time to decide to do things differently this year. So if this episode pointed out something you've been feeling you need to fix for a while, that awareness is worth you giving it some attention. The Boundary Reset Scorecard can help you take the next step without pressure, but with clarity. So grab it today and complete it. A link to it is in the show notes. Remember, there's still space to choose differently, but that window of opportunity is going to close very quickly. All you need to do is pause. That is one decision your future self will thank you for. So I hope this has inspired you to make just one change right away. But be sure that you subscribe on your favorite platform so that you get the next episode. We're going to talk about what comes after the pause and how you can move from survival mode into sustainable success without urgency running the show. Until then, please honor your capacity. Thank you for tuning in today. If this episode feels like a breath of fresh air, it's because you're already craving a business that supports your life, not one that steals your time. If you want help spotting what's quietly draining your time and energy, you can download the Back Office Power Checklist at theshannonbaker.com/checklist. And if this conversation resonated with you, make sure you're following the podcast on your favorite platform so you don't miss what's next. We'll keep breaking this down together, one intentional step at a time. So until next time, keep calm and streamline.